Mario Manigo,
Here.
Elizabeth Davis, Wendy Venters,
Here.
Colin Wells,
Here.
Ed Smith,
Here.
Tina Summerlin,
Here.
and Craig Fuller. We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would, please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and another opportunity to serve the city of Winter Haven and our residents. We ask that you be with us and guide us. And we ask these things in your heavenly name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Commissioners, have everybody had a chance to review the previous minutes? If so, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, previous minutes are approved. Okay, I'm going to move into a brief explanation of how the hearing will go. Cases will be read into the record. City staff will provide a presentation. Commissioners will have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. And once they've had an opportunity to ask their questions, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against a case, starting with the applicant, may do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. Tonight, I see we have a lot of people here, so I want to remind everybody, if we can, let's keep things civil, one person talking at a time. We'll make sure that everybody who wants to speak has an opportunity to do so. When you've completed your comments, we don't reserve time, share time, et cetera. So we need to kind of get through and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak and ask their questions. Once everybody from the public has had an opportunity to speak or ask questions, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Commissioners can ask additional questions, or we will entertain a vote and a motion. If anybody here thinks that you may speak for or against a case, if you would, please stand up and Jordan will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case shall be the truth?
All right. All right, moving into new business, or I'm sorry, old business. Case number P-24-22, request by Landmark Investments, Inc. to amend Planned Unit Development Ordinance O-89-04, general location 800 Havendale Boulevard. The area covered by this request is 13.58 plus or minus acres.
All right, Heather Reuter, Senior Planner for the record. As you look here on the screen, this is the future land use map for this area. The subject property is outlined in black and hashed, and it is designated as primary mixed-use hub, as well as the adjacent properties in the area in this corridor. As you look at the zoning, it is a planned unit development. The other portion of this parcel to the north is C3. We have a mixture of C2 and R5 in the immediate adjacent area, and the PUD to the west also allows for multifamily. As you look at the aerial map, it is this portion of the Spring Lake Square Shopping Center. This is a view looking at the subject property. This is a view looking to the north along US 17. This is a view looking to the east across 17, to the southeast, to the south. And then this is again in the shopping center, other portions of the Spring Lake Shopping Center. And then this is the area that is subject to the request for adding for the multifamily into this PUD. Landmark Investments Incorporated is the petitioner, and they request the city amend a portion of Planned Unit Development Ordinance O-89-04. The area subject to this request is the southern portion of a parcel located at 800 Havendale Boulevard. The subject property contains approximately 13.58 plus or minus acres, developed with a commercial shopping center and associated parking. The northern portion of the parcel is designated as Commercial Highway C3 zoning district. The petitioner proposes to develop a vacant portion of the property designated in the current PUD as Phase 3 of the commercial development with 100 multifamily residential units. The proposed area for multifamily development is approximately 3.1 acres. When specifically examining this area, it alone could be developed with up to 405,108 square feet of commercial space under the current PUD and primary mixed-use hub future land use designation. The current PUD ordinance is 35 years old, contains references to obsolete zoning districts pertaining to permitted uses, and does not provide development standards. Staff proposes to provide updated permitted uses and development standards for the existing developed commercial portion to align with current standards and zoning districts. For the record, all public notification requirements have been met. Please note this case was previously heard by the Planning Commission at the June 4th meeting. The Winter Haven Code requirements providing notification includes providing mailed notices to all property owners within a 500-foot radius of the subject property. When the property in question is situated on a lakefront, all property owners abutting the lake are to be included in the notification. For this case, the land which abuts the lake for the Spring Lake Tower condominiums is a common lot, so the notice was sent to the condo association. While this does comply with the requirements of the code, the city manager and city commission's desire to be as thorough as possible in vetting and addressing development matters, therefore directed staff to restart the process. This included issuing new notices to those property owners originally notified and also adding the individual owners of the Spring Lake Towers condominiums. In conclusion, the staff's review of the petitioner's request yields the following conclusions. The requested multifamily development within this PUD is consistent with development in the area and the PUD designation to the west. The staff proposed changes will address obsolete language within a 35-year-old PUD for the existing commercial. The requested PUD amendment is consistent with the primary mixed-use hub future land use assigned to the property. This request will result in a decrease in water, sewer, and transportation infrastructure demands over the maximum development potential in the current PUD. And this portion of the Spring Lake Square Shopping Center has remained undeveloped for 35 years under the current zoning. Development of multifamily uses in this space will create a true mixed-use hub and will potentially lead to further redevelopment of the aging Spring Lake Square Shopping Center. Staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend approval of this request, and it's forwarding to the City Commission for final action subject to the PUD conditions within the published agenda packet. Additionally, for the record, Planning Commissioners have received communications from citizens regarding this case and have forwarded these to staff to include in the case record. Staff would like to address some of the concerns stated in these emails. This development abuts two FDOT roadways, US 17 and Havendale Boulevard. There are currently FDOT permits for the existing development's access points onto these roadways. Any new development or redevelopment on the site will require these permits to be revised with FDOT to account for trips generated by the additional use. During this process, FDOT will determine if traffic studies and/or any roadway improvements will be required before approving the new development. Additionally, the initial review of this application was completed as required by Chapter 166 of Florida statutes. When an application is received, staff must review the application for completeness and respond within 7 days. This review is to determine if the application is complete to move forward, which includes proper authorization documentation from the property owner, answers provided for all required fields, and submittal of any required additional documents. Review of answers provided is not part of this required completeness review. This occurs during staff's review and analysis of the request and drafting of the staff fact sheet provided in the agenda packet. That completes my presentation. I stand for any questions that you may have. This is the conceptual plan that was submitted. The yellow portion as shown on here will remain commercial, and within the purple-blue color would be the residential portion of the development where the 100 multifamily units would be permitted.
Thank you, Heather. I do have a question. You know, we talked about previously, you know, traffic I know was a main concern, and I just want to reiterate that this is simply an amendment to the PUD, and any actual development would require an additional site plan approval, DOT approval. You know, we're not here to determine if they need to extend a turn lane or add a traffic light, et cetera, right? That stuff is still yet to be determined.
That is correct. We are in the zoning portion of the approval. Well, this is just putting what is allowed on the property and amending that PUD to that decrease from the commercial that's allowed now to the multifamily. At time that they go to development, they would submit a site plan that would have to match the requirements that are within the plan unit development and the code of ordinances. And within that, they would look at all of the concurrency requirements, and they would have to have concurrency for all public infrastructure and do any type of improvements that DOT would require at that time.
Okay, all right, perfect. One other question for you. I know previously at our last meeting, there was a lot of discussion surrounding some of the businesses that have popped up in this strip center, and amending this PUD and updating the language gives us a little bit more oversight or control over the types of businesses through special approval, right? Things that, may come up in the future in the shopping center, is that right?
That's correct. So the commercial portion, as the PUD stands today, references an obsolete zoning district that has not been in place since 2000 with the adoption of our new land development code. That zoning district allowed bars and nightclubs by right, and did not require special use approval as required by today's code. This PUD amendment would have the commercial permitted uses be those of the C3 zoning district, which would require special use approval. So yes, there would be additional review and approval processes for those uses that have been an issue in the shopping center in the past.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this case, if you would, please come forward. We'd like to start with the applicant, if the applicant's here. When you step forward, if you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mark Wilkie. At 609 East Pine Street, Orlando, Florida. I represent the developer, or acting actually as an agent for owners of the shopping center. I can't really say much more than what the staff has said, that we would like to build, the apartments to help provide more housing for folks that, teachers, firemen, policemen, teachers. And these are quality apartment buildings. They're made out of, their construction is made out of cold formed steel. They're very efficiently designed. We have vinyl plank flooring, electronic locks, stone countertops. And it's going to, when you walk inside a box, it's going to look like any other apartment community that you could build there. But we're really focused on keeping the rents in a more economically competitive. It's so that we can find that missing middle for those folks. Again, it's, like I said, quality construction. The developer is a long-term holder. It's not somebody that's just going to build something and flip it. We're partners with them, and they manage over 2,200 units in similar size, and they like to go into neighborhoods that are appealing to the folks, the blue-collar workers, and they like to keep those sorts of apartments in that inventory, and as opposed to just fixing them up and then raising the rents. They really like to get in there, and that's what we want to do here. And again, we have several apartments in Winter Haven where actually these are the buildings that are going around Lake Idle, which is going to be starting pretty soon. So, and I can't stress enough that, we're very involved in all the communities that we have properties and run properties and develop properties, and we're here to stay. So, and again, long-term holders. And if you got any more, any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Okay. And would like another chance, if there are some objections here tonight, would like to address any of those if I can have that opportunity.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. All right, anybody else wishing to speak for or against this case? Please.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I guess my concerns with this.
If you would state your name and
Oh, of
address for
course.
the record, please.
Glenn Newland, 1776 6th Street Northwest, 404.
Thank you.
Okay, again, my concern really is about infrastructure. I'm looking at water, looking at traffic, and most of all is water. I see the numbers on the reports and the responses, but I don't see any references or citations. So where would I be able to find the data that gives us, or the reference that gives us the data for these numbers on here? For example, we have potable water, current capacity, over 2 million gallons, just under 3 million gallons. Current demand, 1,700,000. I'm rounding things off here. And you're looking at potential demand to be 25,200. But studies have shown, the most current one, it's been a few years, and the EPA is saying most households use 300 gallons of water a day. And if you multiply it by 100, only for the households alone, you'd have over 300,000 gallons of water, or 30,000 gallons of water. Yeah, math's good. Okay, but 30,000, so that's over this estimate. So I'm curious where these numbers came in and how it affect us. Because we see other communities, such as Dundee, has put a year-long moratorium on construction based on water needs. Lake Wales is considering the very same options. We have Southwest Water Management has declared we're at a phase 1 water shortage. We had some rain a couple days ago. We have rain. We have rainy seasons and very dry seasons. We've just come out of a dry season about a month and a half ago. So with more demand on this water, what's going to happen? From what I gather from talking to people, we are drilling. We have aquifers underneath our infrastructure, our land here, but we're already into second level of the aquifers. If you go deeper, not only are you looking for water, it's hard to get, but you also create things like sinkholes. Believe me, I had property in North Florida, dry spells, I was on the Swanee Aquifer there, on the Okefenokee River, I'd have sinkholes all the time. I tell my cows don't step there, you don't want to step there. But that's something I don't see it really taken notice of. And if I had some reference to look at, just for my own knowledge, my own education, I'd be more comfortable with this. So if there's somebody who could direct me to where to find these numbers, I'd be happy to look it up myself. And also we talk about traffic, physical traffic, cars and stuff. I know there were a study submitted by the developer that included data from US 27. How did that affect us using US 17? So I'm curious about where that data came from. I did go to the Transportation Planning Organization site. It's rather large. It's the report for 2022. It's rather large. And again, I leafed through it. I didn't look all the way, trying to find some of these traffic pattern numbers. So I'm maybe remiss there, and I'm going to keep looking to find out for my own education. But I was curious about one traffic notation where it says trips. Potential, looks like you're already projecting 33 trips from point A to point B and back. And I'm wondering if those trips are part from the shopping center, because I know by 9 o'clock in the morning, you're already reaching those trips from the gym and stuff, because I frequent that. Are they predicting that the 16 additional trips are from the new homeowners? I'm assuming at least with 100 homes, 50 of them are going to have people with jobs. And that's almost 50 trips right there, back and forth. So I was curious about that data, but again, I need to keep looking, searching through that organization chart. So in the long run, I'm really concerned, and my neighbors, colleagues, and friends are also concerned as well about resources, about infrastructure. What's going to happen with water? Why are the communities worried about it? And we're kind of saying, let's build up more. I can understand that, the needs of the day, but also we also have the needs of the people with their basic needs as water and so forth. Again, I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I look forward to working with you again, if possible.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Please.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case shall be the truth?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Sherry Hamill, and I didn't know a whole lot about this. I just
If
posted
you
a notice.
can, let me stop you. Can you just state your address for
Yes,
the
I'm at
record?
1700 6th Street Northwest, apartment C28, so I'm in Winter Haven Harbor. So, sorry, I don't know a whole lot about this, but my issue is traffic, until I heard the gentleman talk about teachers. I happen to work at Auburndale High School. I work for the Polk County School District. And unless he's planning to rent those units for less than $1,000, I can afford to live there, all right? I take home $3,400 every month, right? 33% of that income would be, what, $1,000, $1,100, something like that? The whole reason I'm in Winter Haven Harbor is because with my mortgage, my association fee, taxes, insurance, I pay less than $800. So I can afford to live there. And when they talk about firefighters and teachers and all this, those firefighters and police, they make way more than us teachers do. So, yay, they're going to build something that supposedly teachers can afford. That's a bunch of baloney, because unless they're going to rent them to teachers for $1,000 or less, we all start at $47,500. That's the way that it is. But that's an aside until I heard the guy talking about that. My issue is the traffic. Is that in order for me to come to this meeting today, I could not turn left to head south on US 17 from our community, okay? It's dangerous. We're old people. Well, I'm not that old, but okay. So old enough. But your vision goes, your reflexes go, whatever, okay? And I can't turn left onto the street because there's so much traffic. So I had to go around to First Street and then, figure out my way here. But when I come home from school every day and I try to turn east or turn left into the community where I live, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And this is as it is right now. So I don't know where all those 100 units or whatever people are going to be accessing the road, but I tried to turn in now, and it's dangerous because people will stop on the outside lane, but not the inside lane, and then you have these bozos that are driving through that left or right thing to turn into where the movie theater is, and they're like taking my space where I'm supposed to make a left. So my concern is about the traffic, and it doesn't sound like you guys deal with that. You rely on someone else to do that, but that's a huge factor for me, is traffic. It's just dangerous getting in and out of there every day at certain times. I go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, so there's nobody there. Yay. But when I come back about 3 o'clock, 3:30, I can't hardly turn in. So that's all I want to say.
Understood. Thank you for your comments. Yes, ma'am.
I have some packets here for you. My name is Betty Hoffman, and I live at Lake Ridge Condos on US 17. We've met before. I was the one that got it changed because of the water issue and then possibly putting docks in. I'm the one, I live at 1776 6th Street. I live at Lake Ridge Condos. These are my neighbors. Great people. You can see our age, except for a few. They're much younger. I don't want to be accusing. I have a dear friend that is one of you people that's sitting up here, and she might not want to acknowledge me by the end of this speech, but I cherish the friendship with this person. And if I have offended anybody, I want to apologize now in front of everybody in this room and in front of my Lord and Savior, because that is not my intent. My intent is for the people of Winter Haven. So I have questions. Why are we here? Why are you here as a planning commission? Are you here to accommodate the wishes of a developer, or are you here to represent the citizens and the residents of our city and look out for our best interest? Your job is to review information on population, property values, land use, other information necessary to assess the amount, direction, and type of development to be expected in the city, and then advise and make recommendations to the City Commission regarding these applications. Two men, and you're not mentioning next to this PUD that we're talking about tonight, but to the west of it is 168 more apartments called on Scarecrow, and Benj, that is being represented tonight by Mr. Wilkie, is doing that project plus this, if my memory is correct. So these two men, Scarecrow and Landmark, they make a business deal in Benj Development, and these three men, or three different elements, is affecting hundreds of people's lives. And I would wish you would please hear the many voices tonight. Maybe if it took you longer than 3 days to investigate the application, you would have seen the irrelevant traffic data from Landmark, US 92 and SR 27, which is in Haines City and has nothing to do with this. It needs to be US 17 and SR 544, Havendale Martin Luther King. A joint 5-year study between you and FDOT in 2020 shows that Havendale and US 17 is a high crash corner with safety concerns. A new study should be done. And if you recommended it before, I think you can recommend it again. Landmark also stated in that application that the theater is closed, which it is still opened. And they mentioned using the theater parking lot for apartments. Should resident and commercial property not be kept separate? We have sent emails to you several days ago, and not one was answered, but you approved 268 apartments in 3 days. Have you considered the amount of cost in the manpower for the fire department, EMTs, and other city services, including having to build new facilities as the population grows? And who pays for this? The current residents, not the developers. Winter Haven currently has an ISO score of 4. Polk County has a rating of 3. Lakeland has a rating of 1. Number 10 is the worst. This reflects preparedness of the fire department and water supplies and affects homeowners' insurance premiums. When are you going to stop the traffic from going into the mall as a shortcut? You aren't enforcing the traffic now on US 17. Many think it's a racetrack, have loud mufflers and even louder music. How much more will there be with an added 268 apartments? Starting at the corner of Avenue M and US 17, there's St. Joe Catholic Church and School with 500 students. And then next down the road is Spring Lake Rehab and Nursing Home. And then there's I'm sorry, but I am going to continue. Diva Dialysis, a senior living assistance
Ma'am.
that's proposed in
I can appreciate it, but we have other people that need to
355
speak.
condos. And you are jeopardizing these people because you're emergency people that are slow enough now because of traffic. You are stopping them from coming and getting these people that we are more apt to have that problem. So
Ma'am,
I
these
think,
things
and no,
are
wait,
not
there's another,
considered in
I'm
3
sorry.
days.
If you want to
So-
call somebody and have me removed. But you also have said and claimed
Ma'am.
that the Scarecrow one
We
was
appreciate your
approved.
comments.
This was approved, you said, in your June 4th meeting, but it is not. The tax code on it says it's code 1000, and it's not been approved for the 168. And it was sold for
Ma'am, I'm
$3
not
million,
sure. We're not here to
and the
discuss those
taxes on
units.
that
We're
are
here to discuss this
going
parcel,
for the
and that's the only thing that we're gonna
340,
discuss.
500, and they're only paying less than $7,000 for a $3 million sale on property.
Appreciate you're passionate about this, but we have to move on and let other people speak. I
Okay,
appreciate your comments.
all right. But like I said, I apologize if I offend anybody, but these people I am concerned about. And it's on social media that you people don't care. And I disagree with that because you are human people and you do care. But we want answers. Are you listening to us? Where can we go to have our voices heard?
We are listening. That's why we're here. I assure you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you very much for letting me come and talk. I promise I won't yell at you. My name is Maureen English. I live at 1776 6th Street Southeast in Lake Ridge Condos. I know that a lot of you know me, Ed. A lot of you know me, and some of you know me indirectly as Muffy English, because I was the SRE for Polk County Schools a few years ago, so I do know a lot about what's going on with these schools, too. But I'm here mainly to talk about the traffic on 6th Street Northeast, which is also called Highway 17, because that's where the condo is. Because I have a new chapter in my life right now because I lost my husband a couple years ago, so I wanted to downsize to a condo that had security in it, so that is why I picked Lake Ridge, and I absolutely love it there. It was wonderful. But my eyes, I'm telling you, I had the same feeling as probably most of you, because one of you up here knows that I've lived in Southeast Section since 1979, when I moved here. So I wasn't worried about the traffic on the northeast side on 6th Street. Why did I care? I never drove out here. I didn't have any relatives out here. But now that I live here, holy moly, it is horrendous right now. And because of the new way I have right now, I've had to quit driving because of vision problems, so I can't drive. So I have to count on Uber. So let me tell you, I have to call for an Uber if I have to go to my eye doctor or medical doctor. I have to call them an hour and a half before I leave the condo to go to Central Avenue because of the traffic. If you're going north on 17 and you get to south of St. Joseph's Church, we are backed up until we get to our security gate. And we have to wait until we get to the security gate so we can get in because of the traffic. Just like the other woman had stated when she was trying to leave, she couldn't turn left on 17 because we can't turn left on 17 because of the traffic. You can also look up the phone calls. I have myself called Winter Haven Police, I've called the Sheriff's Department, and I've had to call Highway Patrol because of accidents that have happened right outside my window on 17, Highway 17, 6th Street, for accidents. There's been a death out there that we witnessed because of a traffic accident. I have also wanted to try mass transport. It only comes in every hour and a half. It starts about 10 o'clock in the morning, every hour and a half. But because of the traffic, we have to go north and head out towards Auburndale so that the mass traffic can turn around so that we can get to Central Avenue. And that takes about 3.5 hours. Now, if you had your relatives or some friends that lived on this section, would you like to know that approximately 200 more housings are going to be put in there, and it's so bad now? Can you imagine what it's going to be like? As an example, I went for a walk from the condo, and I was going to walk to St. Joseph's Church. It's what, 2 blocks away? The wind from the cars that drive so fast on 6th Street, the wind blew me over, I lost my balance, and I fell on the grassy area. You want your relatives to have to live through that? I doubt it. I think it is a real mistake to do that. Now, the other part I wanted to talk about was also the traffic in the schools, because it's going to be family buildings that they're talking about. And the schools, the public schools, and I know all about the schools. So the schools that they can go to are, the elementary school is Fred Garner, and they just redid Fred Garner, and it was good enough now to hold 899 students. There's possibly going to be more students going in there. So the county of Polk County has already paid a half a cent of tax since 1918 to pay for that new building, of which that new building is going to be totally obsolete already. And then to get there, it's less than 2 miles, so all the parents are going to have to drive their kids down all these busy streets to try to get them to school. When they go to middle school, they can go to Westwood. That's 2.4 miles from us. Maybe they'll get a bus, maybe they won't, because the Florida ruling is 2+ miles, maybe, can you get a bus? I've worked at schools before where kids that live that close don't get buses because we don't, 30 seconds, please. In Winter Haven High School, they need a bus to go in there. So the traffic is horrendous. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? All right. Please state your name and address for the record. Have you been sworn in?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Aaron Bosch. Oh, there we go. 116 Mirror Lane. I live kind of sort of behind where you see the houses that are there on the one side. I have a couple questions. First, with the PUD hearing tonight, if it would pass, does it still have to come before the commission to be approved to be able to do these apartments? Or in passing this tonight, if it was passed, does that automatically allow it to go to the planning commission?
So we are the planning commission.
Or the-
If we were to recommend approval, it moves on to the city commission for final action.
Okay,
And then from there, before any development is done, they have to come back with engineered site plans and have a site plan review. And that's when we get more information about like what requirements FDOT will require for traffic, that kind of stuff.
okay. Just a couple things I have on it. I think you've heard a lot about the traffic. I do know that FDOT did the work that they've done on Havendale right there due to the amount of accidents that were occurring and to extend that left turn lane. I also know that currently they're showing that, and this isn't from the internet, I worked with people at FDOT before and I know them and talked to them. Right now, 17 north or south is at an 80% capacity of that intersection. Havendale, east or west, is at an 83% capacity. That's capacity of that whole intersection, even with what they're doing. So what I was told is FDOT's going to be a big hurdle to get through, but we're going to max out that intersection before these units are ever built. So there's a lot of things to think about there going into that, to where that's at. Another question I have, or thing to look at, they just built a dental building on Spring Lake that is there. It's a multi-use commercial property. They had a lot of challenges there with erosion that was occurring. They still do. It's washing out part of the back and the backside of it. So they're trying to work on that to figure out, which leads me to believe or ask, has any survey been done by DEP? And with the Environmental Protection Agency and our lakes, and what that's going to affect. With that, I think that should be considered also going into it, as well as geological surveys on perk of the soil, and then what the amount is going to be able to hold for the weight. As far as the mall that's there currently, with the amount of traffic that's going to be coming in through there, currently, and I'm assuming that there would be a lot of overhaul work done with that, because if you've driven through there, you know what it's like, and it needs quite a bit of work there. The other concern is the military ROTC is currently there. That's where they hold their exercises, their work with all the cadets are outside in front of their building, and in that area. And where that road comes in, or where they're showing, is going to be in front of where they're at. So that's going to pose a little bit more of an issue of things to consider with that. But I think going forward, there's quite a bit. I know with FDOT, they got some big hurdles they got to get through on that. But I'm worried more that this isn't a great, we have another place for people to live. I want due diligence done by the city to understand not only engineering, how it's built, what it looks like, you know, from architectural standpoint, but what's it going to do to the soil that's currently there, and is it going to be able to handle it, plus with the current runoff of water that comes through there and where it goes. So I'm hoping that gets addressed going forward into it and knowing what the future could hold. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this case? No? All right, we will, yes, sir.
My name's Mike Griffin. I'm at 112 Mirror Lane Northwest, just the square that is not drawn, just to the west of the two squares that are drawn. My question, and I might know this answer or not, but selfishly, we heard many years ago that there was potentially an issue, and I'm going to say there's still this issue with having access to this zone, this area here. And of course, what they're talking about now is the area having access through 17, and we all know that that's going to be, put more stress on an already stressful area of 17. A little birdie told us many years ago, when there was also a discussion of apartments or something being developed in this area, that they were potentially, and I'm pointing at this, y'all can't see it, but it's like the third, you see the two very large rectangles there? Just north of those are more homes. And they're labeled, I can't read what it, so there are homes there. Well, somebody had told us that they potentially were going to buy one of those homes, take it out, and create another access point into this area from 13th Street. And that's what that is. Those homes are along 13th Street. Is that possible? How do we keep that from happening? Because that's where I'm completely concerned about how much traffic would now be coming down 13th Street, a very residential street, to get access to this zone, to this area. Whatever's developed here in the next 5, 10, 15 years, there is only really two ways to get in and out of this whole area here right now. And neither one of them are very good ways to get into that zone. Do y'all have any idea, or is there any possibility that one of those homes could be taken out and they could build an access road from our 13th Street?
I'd have to defer to the planning staff on that.
To my knowledge, those are public streets
Yeah.
in that neighborhood, so if a property owner was willing to sell their property, potentially a road could be constructed through there to access a city street.
But there's no
But
plans.
I've not heard of that, I've not seen any plans, and that would all, again, have to go through the site plan approval process to make sure there's adequate access.
Would there be any public hearing to have input from the neighbors as to whether or not that's a good idea, or that's what the neighborhood wants, or is it something that's not really a rezoning discussion?
Yeah, it's not only if there was a rezoning involved in that. If it was simply private property owned by the private developer and they wanted, and they bought the house and they wanted to punch a road through, that would be subject to the site plan approval process, not a zoning hearing.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you. That was it.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this case? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Teresa Kowalski, and I agree with everything everyone said here, and all I want to say is I am opposed, and the friends that are here from my location, I'm at 1776. I'm so upset about all this. All I can say is I don't want any more traffic. It's already stressful enough in this area, and we have a lot of older people, just like everyone else said, and we have traffic all day long, and we hear all the traffic all night long. So stop the build.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else? All right, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Any additional questions from commissioners? No? No? Anybody? Nothing? Okay. I will make a motion to approve case number P-24-22, request by Landmark Investments, Inc. to amend the Plan Unit Development Ordinance O-89-04, general location 800 Havendale Boulevard. The area covered by this request is 13.58 plus or minus acres, as presented in the fact sheet with the conditions presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Moving on to new business. Case number P-24-11-S, request by Kimberly Labonte for special use approval for a child care facility in the mixed-use MX zoning district, general location 595 Avenue L Southeast. The area covered by this request is .23 plus or minus acres.
Chris Young, Senior Planner for the record, and if I could just have a few minutes
Yep,
while the wind
please.
stays out. Okay, I'll go ahead and continue again. Chris Young, Senior Planner for the record. Here we have the subject property. It's housed and outlined in black and hashed. It is mixed use. This is the zoning map. Here we can see that the property is surrounded by mixed-use properties along 6th Street and across 6th Street. The residential is the yellow, and up in the dark kind of maroon color, it's public institutional, which is Winter Haven High School. Here we can see an aerial photo of it. The property, again, is outlined in red along 6th Street. We have, you can see that the property has an extensive parking area. Its previous use was a preschool. So we do have some mixed-use commercial on there. I lost it, and my photos just went away. Okay. I'm not sure where the photos are. I do apologize. Kimberly LaPonte, the petitioner, requests that the Planning Commission grant special use approval to operate a child care facility in the mixed-use zoning district. The property subject to this first request contains .23 plus minus acres and contains a 2,016 square foot building with associated parking constructed in 1962. The most recent use of the property was a preschool. As the previous preschool ceased operation for a period exceeding 180 days, a special use must be reapplied for. The petitioner wishes to lease the space for a child care facility with approximately 2 to 5 employees. There are 5 existing parking spaces located on the subject property. As this is considered a change in use, a site plan review will be required to address any code requirements. Based off the mixed-use character of the surrounding area and the projected low volumes of peak hour vehicle trips, minimal impact to the surrounding neighborhood are expected, and as a result of the child care facility operation. The recommendation is to approve case number P2411-S, subject to the conditions that are found in the agenda packet. And this is a picture of the property. You can see that there is the existing parking areas, handicapped area. As part of the site plan process, landscaping will be readjusted as well as traffic flow and striping. I stand for any questions that you may have.
How long ago, Chris, did it cease operation as a preschool? It was fairly recent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it a while ago?
Mid-COVID times.
Okay.
So in the early, 2020, 2021 times. Unfortunately, if it ceases for an extended period of 6 months or 180 days, it has to come back through the site plan review process.
And we didn't have any issues with the preschool operation at the time?
No.
Okay.
I mean, like you said, it's been used as a preschool / daycare for a very long time.
Gotcha. Okay. Any additional questions?
I do. Is there any other special licensing that's required?
They will still have to go through all the appropriate state licensing to operate a child care facility. This is just to allow the use back on a mixed-use property. Within the mixed-use zoning district, requires a special use for a daycare operation.
Any additional questions? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anybody, I know we had some folks kind of coming in after the last case was finished up. If anybody plans to speak for or against, if you haven't been sworn in, if you would, please stand, and Jordan will swear you in. No?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case shall be the truth?
All right, thank you, Jordan. All right, anybody from the public wishing to speak for or against, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Labonte. I live at 907 Avenue V, Southeast Winter Haven. And I'm for the Child Care Center. As a mother and teacher, I observed the deficiencies in our educational system. There had to be a better way, so homeschooling is an alternative solution. I felt it was important to share my ideals and knowledge with other parents and children as well. Families in our community have repeatedly expressed the need for an alternative to traditional school. Education should be in the hands of families and communities. We Explore Academy is a homeschooling center and a place for the community to come together as a family and help our children develop a love for learning through exploration, interest-inspired play, and project-based learning. And I'm the owner. Did you guys have any questions? Thank
I
you.
don't think so. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Daxios Labonte. I stay at 907 Avenue V, Southeast Winter Haven, Florida. I also I'm for the Child Care Center. I also work for the United States Postal Service, and I also forehand witnessed the increase in the population in Winter Haven, Florida, and I also see the high demand for any type of child care school for the amount of growth that is happening in Winter Haven, the rapid amount of growth with all of the apartments being built. So there's a high demand, and then also there's the demand can't keep up with the supply for the child care. There's a lot of waiting lists for that families have to go on to get their kids into any type of child care or daycare like that. So it's very beneficial for the community and as a whole, and for everyone in the community. So that's what I'd like to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tarika Brown, and I reside at 320 Okaloosa Drive in Winter Haven. I am here to support Kim and this new adventure. My child attends We Care Academy currently. We were in the private school sector. In fact, my child attended St. Joe's. There's high populations, as it's already been mentioned, in a lot of the schools. There's overcrowding, shortages of teachers. My child has some special needs. Attending some of the private schools, they're not able to accommodate that. We sought out Ms. Kim. I've known her for 3 or 4 years. When we started the venture, I really didn't know if the homeschool environment was going to be something that was going to be a good fit for my family. It has turned out that we love it, and I don't intend to go back. So I hope that you folks will consider and give her an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Caitlin Brown. I reside at 749 Waterbridge Drive. I'm here to support Miss Kim, and my child also attends We Explore Academy. I did send him to a private school, and he didn't have the best experience there. I didn't want to put him in public school because I wasn't sure how he was going to adjust with that. Miss Kim has been wonderful. She's been our life support. Like, I've been able to rely on her with homeschooling my child, and she's been wonderful. Like, I don't know what else to say. I have nothing but great things to say, and I hope y'all give her a chance. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Katrina Johns. I live at 227 Viola Drive in Auburndale. I am in support also of We Explore Academy. My daughter also attends. She has special needs, and we came from the public school sector. As new residents to Polk County, it was very challenging, and she was falling through the cracks. So finding a homeschool hybrid alternative was a life-saving thing for my family, and I hope that you guys will approve this plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, anybody else? Okay, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Anybody have additional questions, or will entertain a motion?
No, I'll make a motion to approve case number P-24-11-S Request by Kimberly Labonte for special use approval for a child care facility in the mixed-use MX zoning district, general location 595 Avenue L Southeast. The area covered by this request is 0.23 plus or minus acres as presented in the fact sheet and along with the conditions set by staff.
I second it.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Moving on, case number P-24-35, request by V3 Haven Square Retail LLC to amend Plan Unit Development Ordinance O-09-27 and to assign Plan Unit Development PUD zoning district to 5 parcels. General location, 16 parcels generally located west of US Highway 17, south of Avenue R Southwest, and east of the CSX railroad tracks. The area covered by this request is 20.02 plus or minus acres.
All right, Heather Reuter, Senior Planner for the record. This is the future land use map. As you can see, the subject property is designated as primary mixed-use hub as well as the other parcels within this, and is also located within our central urban core. As you look at the zoning, there is plan unit development zoning on the property and some unassigned properties or parcels as well. Across 17 to the east, you have the Advent Health Field House and Chano Lakes Park, which is subject to a PUD. And then there's also some I-2 to the north as well as C3 to the north and northeast. This is an aerial of the subject property located there on 17 as you go over the overpass towards north into Winter Haven. And the pictures have disappeared. One second, Josh, are you seeing pictures on the slides? I don't know what happened to them. They were in there. Well, can we exit out of the presentation and back in and see if it shows? 'Cause that's 2 now that it's done that on when they were in it. Technology.
Nope.
Yeah, what was the first?
That's the first one.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get there. Well, I don't know what happened. Well, we are without images. So it's pictures of the subject property located on 17, which is the old fertilizer plant, if you're familiar to it, as you drive into 17. So I'm going to keep clicking until we get to our background here, because there were a lot of pictures. There we go.
I think we're all likely familiar.
Yes. All right. So this is a request to amend Planning Unit Development PUD Ordinance O-0927 and to assign PUD zoning to 5 adjoining parcels. The area subject to this request consists again of 16 parcels generally located south of Avenue R Southwest, west of US Highway 17, and east of the CSX railroad tracks. The 16 parcels total 20 acres and are presently vacant. The previous use of the property for several decades was a fertilizer processing and distribution facility, which closed in 2009 and was demolished in 2010. The current PUD ordinance allows for retail, restaurant, and office uses, as well as the development of up to 277 residential units. Maximum development intensity for commercial uses is controlled by the primary mixed-use hub's floor area ratio of 3. And so based on those 20 acres, you could look at 2.616 million square feet could theoretically be developed. So the petitioner proposes to redevelop property with 1 primary retail anchor site and 2 smaller outparcel sites. 4 access points are proposed, including 3 on US Highway 17 and 1 from Avenue R Southwest. Total permitted commercial square footage would be limited to 300,000 square feet and then up to 120,000 square feet of retail storage, which would require special use approval. There is sufficient utility and roadway capacity at this time to accommodate the petitioner's proposed development. And based on that, in conclusion, staff's review yields the following. The proposed uses and development intensities are consistent with the adopted primary mixed-use hub future land use. The petitioner's request will result in a reduction of potential impacts to supporting utility and roadway infrastructure, and at this time, there is adequate utility capacity to serve the petitioner's request. The requested signage changes have some merit given the subject area's location on the 6-lane US Highway 17 and visibility issues resulting from the adjacent US Highway 17 bridge. And the subject area has been subject to PUD Ordinance 00927 for 15 years with limited inquiries regarding development. Proposed revisions to the PUD zoning on the subject area developed by staff in consideration of the petitioner's requested changes represent a more flexible effort to redevelop a large parcel located along one of the city's significant gateways. Therefore, staff does recommend the Planning Commission approval of this request with the PUD conditions in the agenda packet, and it's forwarding to the City Commission for final action. And then this is the conceptual plan. I stand for any questions that you may have.
There's nothing they can do on the backside of the property along the CSX railroad tracks, correct? You couldn't have like ingress or egress through there, like a
No.
crossing, right?
I mean, one, there's private property to the north over there, and then they would have to get a access permit from CSX to cross over it.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against this case, if the applicant's here, welcome them to come up. Have you been sworn in? Okay. Jordan can help us with that.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case shall be the truth?
I do.
If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Trey Vick, 496 South Hunt Club Boulevard, Apopka, Florida, 32703. With V3 Capital, the developer of the project. I think staff summarized it. I just came up here to say hello and appreciate everything the staff has done with working with us. We're excited about this. It's a long time coming, I think, for the city and for a lot of really good reasons, and we're proud of what we're putting forward. So just thank you for that, and I'll be available for any questions anybody has.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak for or against this case? All right, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Any additional questions from commissioners, or we will entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve case number P-24-35, request by B3 Haven Square Retail LLC to amend Plan Unit Development Ordinance 0-09-27 and to assign Planned Unit Development PUD zoning district to 5 parcels, general location 16 parcels, generally located west of US Highway 17, south of Avenue R southwest, and east of the CSX railroad tracks. The area covered by this request is 20.02 plus minus acres, and as presented in the fact sheet by staff.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, the case is approved. Moving on to case numbers P-24-36 and P-24-37, request by TBBP Holdings LLC to amend the 2035 future land use map on a parcel from neighborhood support future land use to neighborhood suburban future land use, and to rezone the same parcel from Planned Unit Development PUD zoning district to multifamily residential low-density R3 zoning district. General location, the parcel is generally located at the northeast corner of Buckeye Loop Road and Palm Nut Drive. The area covered by these requests is 3.68 plus or minus acres.
All right. This is the future land use map. As you can see, the subject property is currently designated as neighborhood support. The city designations in this area are neighborhood, suburban, and conservation to the east. All those in white are still within unincorporated Polk County. As you look at the zoning, there is R3 zoning immediately to the south, to the west, as well as some R2 zoning in the area. As you look at the subject property, is a vacant lot located there on Buckeye Loop Road. To the west across there, you have the Buckeye Trace subdivision. You have a Polk County Utilities office to the north. And then there's a mixture of single-family and multifamily to the south. And northwest of this portion, which you can't see, there is R3 property that is, has an approved site plan for multifamily as well. This is a view of the subject property as you look at it from Buckeye Loop. This is looking at the subject property along Palm Nut Drive. This is looking to the southeast. This is looking over to the west, again, the Buckeye Trace subdivision. And then this is to the north. TBBP Holdings LLC is the petitioner, and they request the city amend the 2035 future land use map on a parcel from neighborhood support to neighborhood suburban future land use and rezone that same parcel from PUD zoning to R3. The parcel totals 3.68 acres and is located at the northeast corner of Buckeye Loop Road and Palm Nut Drive. The parcel was annexed into the city January 22nd, 2018, and was assigned the current designations April 25th, 2022. The parcel is currently subject to PUD Ordinance O2220, which permits personal storage units. The parcel has remained undeveloped since the PUD zoning was assigned. The petitioner proposes to develop the property with 32 multifamily residential units. At the maximum density of 12 dwelling units per acre allowed by the R3 zoning district, the theoretical maximum number of units is 44. As these requests contain a small-scale future land use amendment, review by the Florida Department of Commerce and other state and local agencies is not required. Staff's review of this request yields the following conclusions. The proposed neighborhood suburban future land use in R3 zoning district is consistent with the surrounding uses and designations, and there is sufficient public infrastructure capacity to accommodate the proposed development as well as the maximum theoretical development under R3. Therefore, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission recommend approval of these requests and their forwarding to the City Commission for final action. I stand for any questions.
Any questions from commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against the case, starting with the applicant? Have you been sworn in?
Yes, I have.
Okay, perfect.
John Bannon with Wooden Associates Engineering, 1925 Bartow Road, Lakeland, Florida. Just wanted to say, I thank you commissioners for your time tonight. I thank you staff for the staff report. Just a couple quick items I kind of just wanted to point out. If you could bring up the like the land use map or the zoning map. So the request is for neighborhood suburban, which is kind of a better fit for the area. It's neighborhood support now, which is kind of out on an island right there. And then the request, and then the zoning request is for R3, which is west of the site, south of the site. So so pretty compatible with the surrounding area. The PUD, just wanted to point out too, I think allows, it's for storage units and for outdoor storage, parking like vehicles, parking RVs. So I think it's a better fit for that area. So happy to take any questions you guys have and happy to respond to anybody's comments if they have them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Do you have anybody else wishing to speak for or against this case? No? All right, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Any additional questions, or we'll entertain a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve case number P-24-36 and P-24-37, request by TBBP Holdings LLC to amend the 2035 future land use map on a parcel for neighborhood support future land use to neighborhood suburban future land use, and to rezone the same parcel for planned unit development, PUD zoning district, to multifamily residential low density R3 zoning district. General location, the parcel is generally located at the northeast corner of the Buckeye Loop Road and Palm Nut Drive. The area covered by this request is 3.68 plus or minus acres as presented in the fact sheet.
Second. All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Moving on, case number P-24-38, an administrative request to amend the 2035 future land use map on 63 parcels from traditional neighborhood area and neighborhood support future land uses to primary mixed-use hub future land use. General location, 63 parcels located north and south of Martin Luther King Boulevard and lying between 3rd Street Northeast and 8th Street Northeast. The area covered by these requests is 14.94 plus or minus acres.
This is the future land use map. As you can see, to the west along this corridor is the primary mixed-use hub. This is a request to extend that along the corridor in frontage of Martin Luther King Boulevard as you head to the east, which currently has a traditional neighborhood area, and then at the intersection of 7th Street does have some neighborhood support future land use. This is the aerial. Through this area, it is a mixture of residential uses as well as commercial uses, which are allowed by the zoning districts. Is predominantly MX is the zoning district in this area, which allows for a mixture of uses. And the pictures aren't on this one, and I don't know why. We're just randomly choosing today. So it's pictures of the Martin Luther King Boulevard corridor along street views to see that area as you drive through with the mixture of uses that I spoke of. Again, this is a request to amend the 2035 future land use map on 63 parcels from traditional neighborhood area and neighborhood support future land uses to primary mixed-use hub future land use. The parcels are generally located along Martin Luther King Boulevard between 3rd Street Northeast and 8th Street Northeast, and the total area is 14.94 plus or minus acres. Historically, prior to 2011, the area subject to this request was designated as commercial retail or commercial office on the future land use map. In 2011, a majority of the area, excluding parcels located near the intersection with 7th Street, were designated as traditional neighborhood area as part of the adoption of the 2025 future land use map. The parcels surrounding the intersection were designated as commercial. Upon the adoption of the 2035 future land use map last year, the previous future land use designations for this area remained unchanged. In conversations with some of the property owners along this corridor, there's a desire to encourage the development of mixed uses. While the adopted mixed-use MX zoning district will allow for a mixture of uses, the underlying traditional neighborhood area future land use only allows for the residential uses to be allowed. So we yield the following conclusions when looking at this request: that this area is within the central urban core of the city. Primary mixed-use hub future land use is assigned along all of the east-west running collector and arterial roadways between 1st Street North-South and 6th Street Northeast-Southeast, except for along Martin Luther King Boulevard and Avenue K Northeast. Each of the other corridors are generally developed with a mixture of uses. Prior to 2011, the parcels subject to this request had some form of commercial future land use assigned to them. During this time, a handful of businesses were established on the Martin Luther King Boulevard corridor. The primary mixed-use hub future land use will preserve these businesses while continuing to allow the established residential uses. Assignment of primary mixed-use future land use will aid in implementing the 2022 Florence Villa CRA Plan Goal 1 by enabling the retention and recruitment of businesses along Martin Luther King Boulevard. And additionally, assignment of primary mixed-use hub future land use will allow the current MX zoning assigned to the subject area to be fully utilized by property owners. Therefore, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission recommend approval of this case and its forwarding to the City Commission for final action. I stand for any questions.
I've got a question for you, Heather. I mean, being an administrative request, did we get requests, like multiple requests from the public for this individual type of change? Or conversely, did we receive inquiries about people that were not happy with this type of change?
So we received, to start it off for the initial request and it being staff initiative, there were some property owners in the area looking to do things on their property, and we realized and saw this, and then saw the kind of the conflict with that traditional neighborhood area.
It was
future land
prohibitive
use.
before.
So, yes, and so in that, we wanted to clean it up, something that, we probably should have done with the 2035, and it just kind of got missed. So this is the opportunity to clean that up in those boundaries and extend them of how they match with the zoning that's in the area. Since the notification of the request, I did receive several phone calls. Most of them were just trying to understand the request. No one spoke in opposition of it, and several, once explained the request, were excited about the possibilities for some properties that they owned in the area.
Okay, perfect. And this sort of change does not in any way limit any of the current uses
No.
on these parcels?
No, so the uses are dictated by the zoning, so everything that's allowed in MX will be allowed. What it gives is the intensity, development intensities for the commercial uses. Right now, traditional neighborhood area only addresses residential densities.
Right.
So it allows them actually to fully use their zoning district.
Perfect. Thank you. Any additional questions from commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against this case?
Good afternoon, everyone. Reverend Johnson. Well, I'd like to say, first of all,
Can you state your name and address just for the record?
Fernandez Gunter, 2149 28th Street, Northwest Winter Haven, Florida. I was raised over here in the Northeast section, but what I think and say as far as with the Lord, that each and every one of y'all need to have a relationship with the Lord, because God said that He put people in places to govern His people, and people that govern His people and mistreat His people gonna be judged double time when it come time for judgment. So I hope that y'all taking consideration of the things that y'all doing and the accusations and the position that y'all holding to make statements and make things move in our neighborhood. The property that I'm in concern of is 609 Avenue S, Northeast Winter Haven, where the property was put into my brother's name, and he drowned in 2000. Along with that, now since I've been back in, I'm a owner of Reserve Limo, and I'm also an industrial electrician, and I service celebrities. So I've been back now about 8 years. I noticed from a little boy growing up in the Northeast area, and still today, is the sewage problem in the neighborhood. The hold up on me with the transition of probate going into this, which we have acquired Randall Blankenship as the attorney. The sewage problem in the neighborhood I'm gonna go just from 8th Street to 7th Street to Avenue S and Avenue R in Winter Haven, down to the area coming down to Lake Silver, the sewage problem, especially when the rainy season and the hurricane season, the middle of the road where the sewage comes in, comes up and runs down the street. Can y'all fix those problems, then worry about other people's property?
Thank you for your comments. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Renner. I reside at 1916 4th Street Northeast. I'm relatively new to the area, but I did have some concerns with the letter we received. First and foremost, with the zoning, I really wasn't clear on the map that was in the letter. Would the rezoning be including displacing residents that are already in their homes along that area?
No.
Okay, so there would not be demolishing of the homes, the first couple homes on each of those streets?
No.
Okay. With it being Martin Luther King, I'm on 4th Street. There's a lot of traffic, mainly due to the school, Jewett Academy, trying to get up and down the street during rush hours, 7 to 8:30, and then again between 2 and 3:30. It takes forever. With the increased traffic of new commercial businesses, it would probably increase the traffic on Sears Avenue as well. And that is a bus route for children, especially the elementary school children, and it does not have sidewalks from, I want to say it's 5th Street to 3rd, and over towards 1st Street. So that with the increased traffic on Sears Avenue, it would increase the danger to the children walking up and down those streets. Also, would there be an environmental impact? With Lake Maud being right there, within less than a quarter mile of the increased building, would it affect the lake? And also Lake Idlewild, which is not far from it as well. Sorry, I can't read my own writing.
That's okay.
If these businesses are to be put in, how much parking would be included with these businesses? And would they be ADA compliant? With the compliance, would that increase the parking requirement?
Any potential new development that would fit in with this new mixed-use zoning would still require site plan approval, would still fall to the codes, parking, ADA, requirements. It doesn't negate any of those items. It just provides, this would just provide the opportunity for some of these businesses to expand if I'm, different business types.
So I know that we talk in planeries a lot up here in our staff reports, and sometimes it's a little difficult if you're not familiar with it. The big picture here is that Martin Luther King Boulevard and First Street traditionally through the Florence Villa area were mixed-use districts. They were areas where people both lived and worked. Right now, the way the zoning is set up on this particular stretch along MLK, the future land use is inhibiting that mixed-use atmosphere within Florence Villa. So in an effort to be consistent with our Florence Villa redevelopment plan and in an effort to facilitate future development in the area of a mixed-use nature, assigning a different future land use to this stretch along MLK will allow for true mixed-use development to occur over time in this district. And so as that happens, yes, any new development, as the chair pointed out, would have to meet all current code requirements, ADA accessibility, the required amount of parking and all of that as well. But it's an effort to sort of bring back the true mixed-use nature of Florence Villa as it was and how it historically was.
And one other thing I'd like to point out too is any redevelopment of these, part of those site plan reviews includes adding sidewalks where there aren't sidewalks, right? When these commercial properties are redeveloped, they're requiring sidewalks to be added. So some of that helps, expand the sidewalks and make those roadways safer.
Would that expansion, though, include Sears Avenue?
It depends on what development was to come in the future.
Okay, because
Right.
with what looks like is being explained now is only off of Martin Luther King. And so there's Martin Luther King, then Sears is the next street next to the lake. And that has a lot of traffic when MLK is really backed up.
Right.
And that's where the children walk, is where the bus stops are. We do have a lot of regentrification in the neighborhood, a lot of new houses are being built. So it's just, we're trying to bring the neighborhood back, and it's just very concerning that there could be a lot of traffic. And what is the sustainability of the companies that would come into the area? If it would be 1 to 2, possibly 3 years, how many of those businesses are going to remain open and the buildings themselves remain, or not remain vacant? With vacancies, there is an increased chance of, dangerous situations put in for the residents of the area, homeless people to come in and take over those buildings, violence and destruction of those buildings, and it could compose unsafe areas for the children, for the neighborhood, people who walk and enjoy the area that is currently there. So that is a concern as well, butting up to those new businesses that could or could not last. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Clayton Coward, and I'm with the Church of God, the Bible Way of the Apostolic Faith. And I was born and raised in Winter Haven. In fact, that area originally was called Campbell and Henry Subdivision. My grandfather and my uncle, Robert Henry, are the ones that plotted that land out to sell it. And I remember when, many of the citizens there remember when my Uncle Joe, my cousin Jimmy Henry, Miss Rosa B., all of those had little stores right on that main road. And that was that property meant a lot to many of the black citizens in that area. So a few years ago, we purchased that property, and it's our intent to put that small historical building back, the Jimmy Henry grocery store, and also a museum that's about 21,000 square feet, 3-story, and it's going to have a little bit of all of the neighborhoods, Pughesville, First Street, Florence Villa, somewhat like Legoland where you can walk through and you'll be able to walk through and see what those neighborhoods used to look like. So, and also we want to, bring back a central place that people can remember. We only have two areas there where business was constructed, Avenue 10, First Street, and we just want an opportunity to bring back some of the memories. We're not trying to crowd the area out, but to us, to me and many others, it's important that we have something, and I understand the resident area, but it's always been that way in the past. And one of the concerns I have is being able to provide economic development for people that's in reach, that they don't have to drive this way. Many neighborhoods, if I have a grocery store next to me, that I can go next door and buy a loaf of bread for $2, rather than have to drive 5 miles and I end up paying for gas to go get it. It hinders us economically. I want to put certain things in reach of the neighbors, so hey, I can walk out of my neighborhood and go somewhere and don't have to drive 5 or 10 miles to go get it. So we've already started. We had already started the plans and had set them forth, and I guess then there were some changes or adjustments that were made. We've already put, I guess, about $30,000 or $40,000 into this project with our engineers. And I think when something happened within the process where the code might have been misinterpreted, I don't know what it was, but anyway, we just want to do something in our neighborhood positive. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case shall be the truth?
Yes. Hello, my name is Teresa Hadger, and I'm at 1918 4th Street Northeast. As Pastor Coward indicated, grew up in the neighborhood. Well, I'm in the neighborhood from the existence of the neighborhood. And I do understand what you're saying about the double planning where Florence Villa and half of the street was mixed, but I do understand it's different times now that we live in, and the noise. I hear noise all night long, people speeding up and down the street. So when you're building these commercial buildings, are they gonna have curfew times, or it's gonna be limited to what type of businesses that are gonna be open? Because residents do live in that neighborhood. People moved in that neighborhood in 1957. And people are still there. My parents are still in their house in 1957 at 2214 4th Street Northeast, down the street that I live on now. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at the whole picture of making sure that the community is safe for everyone, not just certain things. I can't even cross the street from one part of 4th Street to go to the other side of 4th Street because there's too much traffic and it's too fast. I came back from Ohio a year and a half ago, and I tried to find the closest speed limit sign. Well, it's up on Buckeye. The next one on the way going to Home Depot. It's nothing in the area saying what the speed limit is. It should be 35. Nobody drives 35 down Martin Luther King. Nobody. You either run and get ran over trying to cross the street. So if you're gonna put all this stuff into my community, please keep my community safe for people like me, because I'm a senior now. I've been in the neighborhood for over 60-something years. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else that would like to speak for or against this case? No? All right, we will, oh, yes, ma'am. Take your time.
Hello, everyone. I'm Minnie Carwise of 621 Sears Avenue Northeast, Winter Haven. And I see the, trying to rezone the section of town that I live in, part of the Sears Avenue. And you want to make it mixed business. Well, why is that when we try to get everything and we can't get it? We've tried, it took us over 10 years to try to get a sidewalk and to put the sidewalk down. And the sidewalk was put down so sharp, they had to come back and redouble it up to bring it up higher where you could walk on it. And we try to put in for different stuff, we don't get it. We go through hassles and hoops and stuff. And I'd like to know what's gonna be done, or what's planning on to be done. And just don't switch it around and find out at the last minute. And I have property there, and I like to know what's going on. But it caught me at the wrong time, but I had 2 heart attacks between January and this here month here, and I'm trying to do the best I can. I said, I may be dead and gone, but I still like to see some stuff still the same. We tried to get a black, call it a museum, hope to get it. But the way things going, look like we've been here back and stuff. And it's not safe to walk the road. I wouldn't even go to the stop sign because I make scared can't get back. And they have music all night long, if not noise all night long. And he said, wait till 11 o'clock and call. Who you gonna call? When Haven ain't coming out there at that time of night. And if they come with the spotlights, and that's messed up right there from the get-go. But it's not safe. Scared to walk. And that's my main thing. We need at least more health things in the neighborhood and everything. And some for the children. And you got children that don't even go to daycare because the parents not working. They have to stay there and notice, halfway notice the children. And you got to notice the children also. And then they turn the dogs loose in the neighborhood. You be scared to come out the house when they turn the dogs loose. So it just get hard and harder. And the speed bumps, you need the speed bumps at the dialysis place. Those the kind you need in the road. That's the only humps that I know will stop a person. And they got to stop to get crossed. But other than that, we got to have more black. And I don't know why my family ain't standing up talking, what y'all think is getting to us. I said my fault.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anyone else from the public? All right, we will close the public portion of the hearing and reopen the planning portion of the hearing. Any additional questions from commissioners? We'll entertain a motion.
So how does the residents address the issue with getting some speed limit signs and traffic calming issues?
Yeah, so if they want to leave their contact, I'd be happy to get their contact information. And we can be in contact with the streets department. They have a policy around traffic calming. And I'd be happy to put them in touch with them to look at the areas that they're talking about and whether or not additional traffic calming would be adequate.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so as far as controlling the speeding, right? I don't know how you can control the speeding on Martin Luther King without a police presence or a police presence on patrolling it to do speed stops and stuff like that. As far as on Sears Avenue, the traffic that cuts off of Martin Luther King to come down the side street to go down Sears Avenue would be efficient with blinking lights on the stop signs.
Okay. Thank you. Any additional questions? No? All right, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve case number P-24-38, an administrative request to amend the 2035 future land use map on 63 parcels from traditional neighborhood area and neighborhood support future land use to primary mixed-use hub future land use. General location, 63 parcels located north and south of Martin Luther King Boulevard and lying between 3rd Street Northeast and 8th Street Northeast. The area covered by these requests is 14.94 plus or minus acres as presented in the fact sheet.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Moving on, case number P-24-39, administrative request to make a citywide update to the official zoning map for consistency with the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan. If you want to take a minute.
I'll give it a
Yeah.
moment. All right, I'll get started. The city adopted the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan and corresponding 2035 future land use map in August 2023. Most properties in the city retain their same future land use from the 2025 future land use map. However, some properties were remapped for various reasons, including matching long-term existing uses or smoothing of boundaries. In an effort to bring the city's official zoning map into consistency with the adopted 2035 future land use map, staff has undertaken an exercise to identify those parcels which have zoning conflicts with the adopted future land use. In addition to addressing conflicts with the future land use map, staff rezoned some parcels to the following reasons: smoothing of zoning district boundaries, rezoning to reflect historical uses of property, and rezoning old or obsolete PUDs. Proposed revisions to the official zoning map will bring several parcels into compliance with the adopted 2035 future land use map. Proposed revisions will smooth boundaries of zoning districts, allowing for more consistency between adjacent property owners, and proposed revisions will not reduce the number of permitted uses on any parcel. Therefore, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission recommend approval of this case, and it's forwarding to the City Commission for final action. The the maps are located in the published agenda packet. Since there are 22, we're not showing them on the screen, but it would be subject to how it is reflected in the agenda packet. I stand for any questions that you may have.
Any questions from commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion. Anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against this case? All right, seeing none, we will close the public portion and reopen the planning portion. Any additional questions? No.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve case number P-24-39, administrative request to make a statewide update of the official zoning map for consistency with the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Case number P-24-48, an administrative request to amend the potable water sub-element of the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan for the purpose of revising policy 1.1.2 relating to potable water levels of service LOS standards, and to amend sanitary sewer sub-element policy 1.1.2 relating to sanitary sewer LOS standards.
All right. Within the infrastructure element of the comprehensive plan, there are 5 sub-elements which address the provision of public infrastructure in the city. Each of these sub-elements establishes level of service, the LOS standards, which form the basis of concurrency management in the city. In the potable water sub-element, there are 2 types of LOS standards, with one addressing conservation and usage, and the second addressing water system design. Based on a study of the utility system commissioned by the city's utilities department, it was found that the LOS standard contained in potable water sub-element policy 1.1.2, addressing water system design, can be reduced from 350 gallons per person per day to 275 gallons per person per day. Likewise, the study has determined the design LOS standard for the sanitary sewer system, as addressed by sanitary sewer sub-element policy 1.1.2, should be 250 gallons per person per day. These determinations were made through an analysis of per capita water consumption and wastewater treatment over the past several years. Staff does recommend that the Planning Commission recommend approval of this request, and it's forwarding to the City Commission for final action. Stand for any questions.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions from commissioners? No? All right, we will close the planning portion of the hearing and open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak for or against this case? All right, we will close the public portion and reopen the planning portion. And I will go ahead and make a motion to approve case number P-24-48, an administrative request to amend the potable water sub-element of the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan for the purpose of revising policy 1.1.2 relating to potable water levels of service, LOS standards, and to amend sanitary sewer sub-element policy 1.1.2 relating to sanitary sewer LOS standards as presented in the fact sheet.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, case is approved. Comments from staff?
All right, so first I'd like to welcome to the dais Kevin Tyson. He's our new planning commissioner, so we're thankful that you applied and you've been appointed, and so hopefully we didn't scare you off with this first meeting, so welcome.
Welcome, Kevin.
A little bit of update on past cases. From the July meeting, the land use and zoning assignment for the property located south of Lake Smart at Ware Avenue will be going to the City Commission on August 12th for a transmittal hearing, as it's over 50 acres, so it'll have to go to the state for review and then come back for approval. The other code changes that were a part of that meeting are working their way through and are getting put onto City Commission agendas as we move forward. The only other thing from staff would be to look at the September meeting. It is scheduled for September 3rd, which is the day after Labor Day. So we need to determine at this meeting if we'll be good and solid for a quorum or if we need to move that meeting back. So if you guys could look at your calendars.
I will be here.
I'm available.
I will be here.
Okay.
None of you
All right.
none of you celebrate Labor Day. All right.
All right, good. Sounds like we won't have a problem. So the next meeting will be on September 3rd. Oh, and also we still have a vacancy on the Planning Commission, and applications are still open at this time. So if you know anyone who owns property in the city of Winter Haven or resides in the city of Winter Haven and would be a good fit, tell them to fill out that board application and we'll consider it.
Do we still have Rick?
We do
rejoining
not.
us? No?
Rick was appointed and then Rick resigned. So
Twitter?
we have that's the vacancy that we currently
Okay,
have.
all right. All right, understood. Comments from planning commissioners? Anything from anyone? Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Comments from the public? No? All right, we are adjourned.